Hello everyone, I'm Guido Grinbaum, and now we will continue with Module 20 of the Microcredentials course. For a long time, international mobility in education was measured by the number of kilometers traveled. A student had to travel to another country, physically attend a foreign university, and return with a diploma or certificate that would take months to be recognized. Today, that is changing completely. The new academic mobility is not about traveling, but about sharing verifiable credentials that cross borders without friction. Digital microcredentials are the new global educational passport. Universities around the world are discovering that learning is no longer local. A student can take a course in Buenos Aires, complement it with a module in Finland, and certify both learnings with interoperable digital credentials. Technology has enabled something that was previously unthinkable: academic recognition that is immediate, transparent, and verifiable. And that redefines the internationalization of knowledge. Why does internationalization need digital credentials? Because global learning has become modular. It's no longer just about 4 or 5-year degrees, but about short, certified, and stackable experiences. MOOCs, hybrid programs, and microcredentials allow a student to build their academic profile piece by piece, no matter which country they are in. And digital credentials are what ensure that those pieces fit together perfectly. Europe understood this before anyone else. Since 2021, the Erasmus Plus program has incorporated microcredentials into its mobility framework. It's no longer just about sending students, but about exchanging knowledge digitally certified. The European Learning Model, or ELM, defines how the data for each credential should be structured so that any European university can read and recognize it. And the European Digital Credentials Infrastructure, or EDCI, makes it possible to issue and verify electronically signed credentials that are valid throughout the entire European higher education area. A simple example: a student can take an online course at the University of Porto, receive her badge in ELM format, and that achievement is automatically integrated into her academic record at a university in Italy or France. No paperwork, no bureaucracy, no waiting. That is borderless mobility. Europe is building a common language of learning. Each credential is a fragment of that universal language, a shared code that translates effort and knowledge into verifiable data. And that same language is already beginning to be spoken in Latin America. With the support of UNESCO and European programs, the region is starting to adopt interoperable micro-credential strategies. The Mochila project, for example, is already being implemented in Mexico, Chile, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic. Its goal is simple, yet transformative: to create an ecosystem where students can carry their credentials from one university to another and have them automatically recognized. This marks the beginning of a Latin American space in open education. But integration does not happen on its own. It requires trust, agreements, and standards. Technical interoperability, such as Open Badge 3.0 or the ELM model, is only one part of the process. The other is mutual recognition. For a credential to be valid internationally, there must be a common framework of trust among institutions. And that is where the true strategic value of microcredentials lies. A university that adopts international standards is not just issuing badges, it is building academic bridges, future agreements, and a global reputation. In other words, it becomes part of the world's educational dialogue. Microcredentials are also a form of academic diplomacy. Every time an institution issues a credential that is internationally verifiable, it is saying, "We trust in knowledge, not in borders." And that message has enormous power. Universities that share recognized credentials generate collaboration, exchange, and prestige. In this way, knowledge becomes a more universal language for everyone. Let's look at some concrete cases of success. Erasmus Plus Virtual Exchange connects European and Mediterranean universities through digital badges that certify intercultural competencies. The University of Melbourne and the University of Helsinki co-issue microcredentials in scientific research with mutual recognition. Tec de Monterrey and Arizona State University have developed a joint micro-credential program for global entrepreneurship. In all these cases, the common denominator is verifiable trust. What steps should a university take to join this global movement? First, adopt open standards. Open Badge 3.0, ELM, Europass. Second, sign bilateral or multilateral recognition agreements. And third, define an institutional policy for digital mobility. Fourth, and finally, integrate a public and transparent verification system and ultimately participate in international educational trust networks, such as One EdTech or UNESCO Global Skills. All of this may sound ambitious, but in reality, it is inevitable. The future of higher education is not defined only by who teaches best, but by who connects best. The universities that adopt this approach will be recognized not only for their programs, but for their ability to create partnerships and enable global mobility. The academic world is undergoing a transformation similar to what happened in music or film. From physical to digital, from local to global, from linear to modular. And digital credentials are the universal format that makes this transition possible. They are the translation of merit and learning into a verifiable language, understood by everyone anywhere on the planet. The mobility of the future is not measured by stamps in a passport, but by shared, interoperable, and recognized credentials. The 21st century student can build their academic path in multiple countries without leaving their city and validate their skills globally in seconds. That is the true democratization of international learning. To conclude, I want to leave you with one idea. The internationalization of learning is not achieved by traveling, but by connecting verified knowledge. Microcredentials are the new language of global cooperation, and the universities that start speaking it today will be the ones leading education tomorrow. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this module as well. I look forward to seeing you in Module 21.